You reading this, be ready. Starting here, what do you want to remember? How sunlight creeps along a shining floor? What scent of old wood hovers? What softened sound from outside fills the air? Will you ever bring a better gift for the world than breathing the respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Are you waiting for time to show you some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry into evening all that you want from this day. This interval you spent reading or hearing this, keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now, starting here, right in this room, when you turn around? William Stafford. Welcome to Self-Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Today I'd like to talk about being in the present moment. Since that is exactly where we are right now, that seems appropriate. During this past year, I've been continuing my self-work, because that never stops, practicing along with my clients being in the present moment and handling those automatic negative thoughts as they arise with love and tenderness. I've been integrating nature more heavily into my life, realizing on different levels, going deeper and deeper, that there really is no separation between nature and me. So doing all this work. Also during this year, I've experienced a lot of pain, both emotional and physical. Now, emotional pain is just what I consider the color of life. It's what we deal with. It's a constant thing we work with as fully human beings. But the physical pain was something else. This was out of the ordinary for me, and it was a pain that required a minor spinal procedure, which I had 2 days ago. Previously, I'd spent a lot of money on various recommended professionals, and finally, through the recommendation of my acupuncturist, I found a really good orthopedic surgeon, and then that orthopedic surgeon bent over backwards, so to speak, to get me an appointment with this amazing other surgeon who did this spinal injection and the sort of cleanup of a herniated disc in my spine that I needed in order to stop some of this pain. So all of these wonderful things came together to allow me to finally be pain-free for the first time in a year. I mean, imagine. What's interesting is that all this time, as I said, I've been working on myself, healing wounds as best that I can. But once the pain went away, all the work that I've been doing for the last year came to the surface. It's as though the doors opened and it was now safe for the work to fully take hold. And that's when I began to realize the toll. I began to understand more clearly that having been in constant pain on a level from 1 to 9, let's say, on any given day, sitting across from clients, adjusting my position more often than I normally would, or trying to secretly massage my iliotibial band, just trying to relieve some of this pain, and just being exhausted at the end of the day because even sitting or walking from my car to the office would cause me to start limping sometimes. And this is just simply not me. So it took a great toll. But now there's this possibility that I can be pain-free for at least a month, a few months, maybe more. Then I noticed that my brain went immediately to the thought, will I have this pain for the rest of my life? Is this going to be like my old age thing that keeps coming back? How am I going to live if I'm constantly relying on a spinal procedure? That doesn't seem right. And won't that eventually cause more damage to my body, et cetera, et cetera? All the fear crept in. The desire to hold what was happening in the moment, that moment of feeling pain-free, was slipping away. So the moment I did that, the moment I started going down the fear of the future and the path, I wasn't present in that pain-free oasis that I've been unconsciously and consciously longing for. Even though I was physically out of pain, I was in pain. How silly is that? I noticed this departure in myself, and I remembered to pull the thoughts back into this moment. It's good right now. The message is, bring yourself back to the present. You can't be in any other place. The past is only a subjective memory and completely untouchable. The future is a trillion different possibilities and also completely untouchable. All we have is this moment that we're in, this one, now. And now, we're already in the future of when this podcast began. But we could not control that any more than we can control how our brain thinks a thought. It just happens. Now that's scary, but it's real. It's uncomfortable for us to stay in the present because it is so uncertain. Anything can happen, anything. But this is also beautiful and full of possibility and tremendous energy. Surround yourself with that energy, and when shady things happen in your life, stay in that moment too. Alan Watts says in his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, running away from fear is fear. Fighting pain is pain. Trying to be brave is being scared. If the mind is in pain, the mind is in pain. The thinker has no other form than his thought. There is no escape. But so long as you are not aware of the inseparability of thinking and thought, you will try to escape. Seeing there is no escape from the pain, the mind yields to it, absorbs it, and becomes conscious of just pain without any I feeling it or resisting it. Pain is the nature of this present moment, and I can only live in this moment. Living in the present moment of pain sounds distasteful, but we can see the necessity of it. What about pleasure? It may sound easy to stay in the moment of joy or happiness, but do we really? When we worry, how long can this last? Now we're in pain again. When we stay in the moment, we can face whatever the feelings are, pleasant or painful. By practicing being fully present, we can remember that what is happening in our life can be handled in a whole and full way without fear, even if what we're feeling is fear. Go into it, talk to it, ask it what it needs you to know. You just have to listen the way you would listen to a friend. So whatever we're feeling, feel it without that fear, without fear of the past, without fear of the future, both of which are not accessible to us. To feel what we feel fully, and even sometimes if it's unpleasant, that feeling is good because we have the strength to fully experience our emotions and let them ride their course out. That's the important part. If we stuff them or avoid them, they come back later, usually in a much amplified form. The sting of rejection becomes the gushing wound of mistrust, for example. When we don't sit with the pain, it, like a child, or perhaps the way you felt at times as a child, feels ignored. It wants us to be here, to be present, to listen to it. Now is a good time. Now is an act of love for yourself that permeates even the darkest moments in your life. I'd like to end with a poem by Hafiz. Now is the time. Now is the time to know that all you do is sacred. Now, why not consider a lasting truce with yourself and God? Now is the time to understand that all your ideas of right and wrong were just a child's training wheels to be laid aside when you can finally live with veracity and love. Now is the time for the world to know that every thought and action is sacred, that this is the time for you to compute the impossibility that there is anything but grace. Now is the season to know that everything you do is sacred. Blessings on your path. Thank you for joining me on Self Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Aho.